to say I'm excited is just not even the right words. Today I'm talking to an American filmmaker, actor, and music video director, and creative agency owner. He's worked with brands like Toyota, Nike, JBL, Universal Records. He's filmed music videos with great artists like Blink-182, Shinedown, Zac Brown Band. He's directed films like Collision with Christopher Hitchens and Douglas Wilson, Saving Christmas, Unstoppable, and numerous others. This man resides in Idaho with his wife and 4 kids.
Yep, you got it.
4 kiddos. And, from what I've seen on Saving Christmas, he cannot dance.
Whoa, hey. I think
throw that out there. My man, Darren.
Opposite.
Darren Doane. What's up, my man?
This is great to be here. I feel like I'm going to get the education today, so I'm actually really excited.
No, I think we're coming from 2 sides of the track that really coincide.
Yeah.
It's a lot like some theological conversations that we all have where they overlap in a million different directions. So I need to learn from you.
That's actually a great way to say it, as opposed to everyone lining up their verses on one side and someone's got their verses. It's like predestination, free will, predestination, and everyone just dies.
Yeah.
How do you put those together?
Yeah. And I think in large part, what we'll be talking about is the difference between branding and marketing. Yeah. And in large part, I think it's who you're talking to, right? Like who your audience is, maybe versus who my audience is. Because when I hear you talk, you're speaking to me, a guy who loves marketing, but needs to be more intentional about branding, even though we do branding for our clients. Right. But I find myself not being able to quite get out there. And so,
let's hold there for a second, because and I love how we had a little theological talk earlier before we started. Terms are really important.
They are.
Terms are really important. And I'm sure you've done this. I know I've done it. Have you ever looked up the definition of marketing and advertising?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, everyone's kind of got a different, there's no real standard.
Good point.
Right? Yeah. And so, and I even brushed up. I'm like, I think Gary's going to really push me today. I think I know what I mean on things. And I went and I brushed up again. And I was like, I don't know what anyone's talking about here. And they're flipped a lot. And then branding becomes, what is branding? Like someone might think branding is we branded it, we put a logo.
Right.
And then is logo branding, and then branding, is it just what are our shirts gonna look like, right? There's this, and so we have a lot of interchangeable language. And so I would go back to branding with, on a cow, right? They would take that and they would brand it in, right?
Sure.
And I think this is where I would start on terms. It wasn't that the livestock was branded and had a logo on it,
right?
That it was owned by somebody. You looked at what was branded and you said, okay, if that says Gary,
right,
and I take his cow,
right,
he's gonna shoot me.
Right.
Because what's in the brand is a guy that doesn't mess around.
Sure.
So what I mean by branding is not the logo, not the thing in and of itself. What I mean by branding is, are you developing a reputation that when people see everything else we're going to talk about, logo, marketing, advertising, when they see that, do they know not to mess with the cow?
Yeah, exactly. And from a marketing guy's perspective, how I would word that is, I want myself and my clients to show up like nobody else, period. And that could be seen as branding. I've looked at it traditionally as marketing, but I mean, if that's the definition. Yeah. So I think, for instance, when a new client comes on to Grafted In, and let's say they want a website or they want us to do some marketing, we're going to start with, obviously onboarding them, understanding who they are as a company, what their goals are, things that a lot of other companies do. But we want to take it one step further. We want to educate them through the process. So the first thing they're going to get, we're going to get a payment. The next day, they're going to get a tracking number with an onboarding box. that showcases a bunch of different material of things that we do, things that will be upselling them down the road, ways to educate them, books that will actually help them as business owners in a way that sets us different right from the gate. As soon as we come out, we're coming out swinging. We want it to be very clear that when they invested in us, they invested in something way different. And now I'm thinking of it as a marketing aspect, right? Because I'm educating them on other services that I'm eventually going to be selling to them, but that's not my primary obligation. My primary obligation is to understand the psychology of buyer's remorse and to go, I need to meet that right away because these are big investments. You know, if a client's spending $30,000 a year minimum with us, we need to make sure that when they make that original investment, they're going to be wondering, boy, did I do the right thing? And I'm 100% convinced they did. Therefore, I need to make sure I meet that need for them to reassure them, we're riding this out with you. You've made the right decision and let's go.
And I would say if someone's paying you $30,000 a year, they should be thankful you even showed up.
Right. Yeah, good
And
point.
so this is an interesting part of the coin. You see, I'm on your side.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where it gets weird for me. I'm usually not on the side of the client.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the client knows what they're talking about.
Right.
See, I'm on your side.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if a client hires you, you're the doctor, they've got cancer.
Right.
I don't think they get to tell you what to prescribe.
Absolutely right. And that's
right. And
yep.
so when I hear you say that, I go, wow, again, I am blown away at the professionalism that a guy like you has and your company has. I'm all for it. What I get scared of is, but I don't think the people you're talking to, I don't think they should even have a say.
Right.
Because I don't think they know. Why would they have called you?
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. In terms of the actual solutions that we offer, we need to be leading the conversation. Yep.
More than leading. There should be nobody in the room.
Right.
Because as soon as a person gets in the room, A, they don't like you. B, they're scared of you. C, they're threatened by you. Yeah. You know, and the list goes on. And so what I am pushing for, and what I'm pushing for is for people to realize, leave people like you alone. You don't need any meetings to know what their company is about. You should be able to walk in, having seen their website, read everything they've said, spend a week at the company, spend 3 days walking around, talking to people, and you should know everything they're doing and not doing. And if there's something that's not been communicated, then that already answers the question to why they need you.
Yeah, here's my problem though. A lot of times we'll come across clients who have subsequently done that very thing to the recent college graduate agency that has a million ideas on how to spend their money, all of which are foolish. And I could take one look and see this guy's been spending some stupid money for things that are not getting results.
Yes, and this is something that I'm continually pushing on, which is, I've said it before, but don't tell me ROI matters unless you've ran the ROI on your marketing department.
Right. Yeah.
Don't you dare bring Gary in and say, well, we want to know what the ROI is going to be. I'm bringing you in. Go look at every department.
Right.
Run the ROI on that $85,000 a year employee.
Right.
And then whatever budget they had, run the ROI.
Yeah.
I don't know why they run the ROI on us.
Yeah. Well, and it's not that they shouldn't be. It's just that have they been consistent doing it? Right? Like from a marketing perspective, my goal is to diversify the channels of marketing for each company. I like diversity. And so that could mean a multitude of different mediums of delivery. So it could be social media marketing. It could be a billboard. It could be TV. It could be radio. It could be SEO. It could be a myriad of different things. My goal is to prove an ROI on each one of those channels and increase the level of spend for my client. by proving those so that they have the difference between somebody that knows what they're doing and somebody that doesn't is a business owner will go in to put $1 into their marketing machine like they would a slot machine and just hope like, oh boy, here we go. I hope I get something back versus a vending machine where you have a predictable outcome. You put $1 in, you know the end product that you're going to get out. My job is to increase the number of vending machines, predictable output marketing channels that they're investing in so that they're sturdy and strong to grow and increase their ad spend in each one of those channels. But if they don't know, if they have no idea on the lifetime value of the client or what they should be spending, there's a whole educational process that's involved.
Yeah, and so when I hear that, I hear sales, and I love sales.
Yeah, yeah.
Like and so when I hear that, I hear somebody who's, well, again, my category on all that is, okay, that's somebody in sales, and sales are great. We all want sales. But when you get addicted to sales, which somebody should in the company, I mean, you want somebody addicted to sales, it doesn't leave a lot of room for what I believe I'm pushing for is back to branding, which is reputation. So I would hope that there is a ninja assassin killer doing sales.
Well, so here's where I think we're actually more closer on the same page. You know, I'll look at companies are either sales heavy or they're marketing heavy when it comes to growth. Now, brand heavy could be, we could talk about how we define that, because I think it's kind of in that marketing side. The concepts that I'm pushing forward is that the marketing efforts of the company are drawing prospects, and the marketing is doing the heavy lifting versus the sales guy picking up and doing like cold calls and like trying to convince people to buy. I'm not into any of that. I think you need to show value and increase your trustworthiness. We can define as branding.
Yep.
To where you're drawing through those marketing channels, your future prospects and your future business as well as your present business.
Yeah, and like I said, and you seem to have, like, I have zero knowledge as far as in the game, funnels, all of that stuff. Like, you know, that's again, that's not what I do. I try to recommend people like you to my clients. Once they start talking that, I'm like, let me go find you a master at that. Right.
Yeah,
like, let's go find a master at that.
Yeah.
Because again, that's sales. I don't do sales because I don't know if someone's product is actually good.
Yeah. So I would define sales as the moment the prospect is ready to pick up the phone and make a call. But there's marketing that happens that's different from sales. So I would differ marketing and sales. Sales is the guy who's either cold calling, trying to drum up business, or trying to convert the business that the marketing is bringing in. So I would say probably in the lead process, marketing is looking at people that are like ready to convert or they're not ready to convert. I'll give you an example. You know, in where you're at in Idaho, what city are you in roughly?
I'm in Moscow, Idaho. So I'm in northern Idaho, the smokestack.
Gotcha. So you're in Moscow,
Idaho border.
Gotcha. So from a marketing perspective, you could go like, how many people are ready to sell a house today? Like right now, maybe 10. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are. But how many people are ready to sell a house over the next year and a half? A lot more. And so the job of marketing is to be drawing those future prospects into the business, becoming aware of the brand and through all the value that you're producing and nurturing them so that when it does come time for them to enter into the sales funnel, that they actually enter in on good terms as the invited guest versus the annoying nuisance.
And so when I hear that, I say yes, but then I think, what do I believe is the most valuable way to potentially do everything you just said? And I think this is where I get a bit esoteric, but I think it's something that we do naturally, and when you try to describe it, it just sounds weirder than it actually is. And so what I like about branding and brand reputation as far as who a person is if you've spent if in that time you're defining a real estate agent or a brokerage house is up here in northern Idaho, on the Washington-Idaho border. You got Washington State University, and then 6 miles away, you got University of Idaho.
Sure.
So you got, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully now they're not in the same bracket, so it's good.
Yeah.
So you could all year be being who you are and being very excited for Wazoo and it's go Cougs, let's go, right? And then every year you lose in the Apple Cup when they play Washington State. And I don't think we've beat Washington State in a long time. And I've only been here 6 years, but there's a phrase called Coug it. You get there to the very front, and then you Coug it, you lose. Okay. And I've never lived in a college town before, so this is new to me, like real college football life, right?
Yeah.
So you could be communicating that all year, and then you get a phone call from a potential client, or you're online and you're connecting with someone, or someone reaches out, and then maybe someone's been seeing your content, and then someone says, "Gotta say it, but you guys couged it again," and you're like, and someone lays into you, right? Like someone just, but it's in good fun. It's in good fun.
Yeah.
Because you've communicated who you are, and someone says that, right away, you've got a deeper connection than just the one-to-one transaction. And what I like about this is it doesn't cost anybody any money to be you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm a small business owner, and so are you, and it hurts to spend money. We're going month to month. We're reinvesting. We're always reinvesting. I've heard some of your stuff. I know you're big on reinvesting those dollars back into your marketing, and amen.
100%.
I mean, that's what it's all about. And so I like the idea that the human connection of who somebody is, because who you are ultimately has to show up. And I think what we've been taught is we have to hide who we are for as long as possible. It might not be till the very end, someone's a liberal, conservative, Biden, Trump, Black Lives Matter. In business, it's like, and then it finally comes out.
Yeah.
I think now what we're seeing is there's more opportunity in just embracing who we are as people. It's free to do. And I think usually we think of those connections at the bar at the national convention after hours.
Sure.
I'm trying to flip that and say, as opposed to building business relationships all year long and then maybe meeting your client, or flip it, be who you are, create a filter, because that's your reputation. And then when you and then you're really off to the races with people, because they kind of know who you are. They can joke with you. You're a baseball guy, you're a football guy, you're a foodie, you've got 4 kids, I've got kids, when you find those real human interactions, because I believe ultimately, unless you really do have just a B2B, I buy this, because I need this, and there's no room anywhere. People ultimately buy because of a connection somehow, some way with another person. And I know this because I've seen people when I was, as a music video director coming up, there were guys who I knew. I was like, I'm a better director. I'm a better director. Why is that guy getting the job? Well, they were out partying with the band nonstop.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking when I got out of high school. I didn't do the party thing.
Yeah.
If you partied, that got you access.
Right.
So it's never just about that pure ability or skill. And if it is just a numbers game, they sell it for 20, we sell it for 19. Hey, God bless you. You're in sales, but you're always going to be just trying to bring that number down. And if everyone brings the number down in the marketplace to rock bottom $1.25, what's left? Well, personality. Who are you? Do I connect?
And I would say never play the cheapest game, because you'll never win.
But people do. Hey, look, but that's a business. But some people do. And all I'm saying is, if you're in the cheapest game, and some people are, I know when I go, well, I'm the wrong person. I don't care about price on anything. So I'm the last, which is probably why I'm really not good and talk about a lot of things you're really good at, because I don't know what my coffee costs me. I don't know what my car payment is. I don't know.
I'm a lot like you in that regards, you know. So, but when it comes down to like, can I prepare my client to spend more money on marketing because we've proven when they give me $1 in this hand, I give $2 back. That becomes increasingly important. But going back to something you just said.
But hold on. Yeah. But are you telling me you can and have? This is intriguing to me. You can actually show people. Let's say they spend. Let's say they bring you on for 30 grand a year, and you get $50,000 of their money.
Yeah.
Go do something. Okay.
Yep.
So they're in it for 80.
Yep.
Right. So they got the 50 spend. They got the 30 here. Now, to me, if at the end of the year they've made 90 back, you're crushing it.
Yeah.
Do you show that to your clients? Can you do that? Obviously, you can't guarantee a product, but right. I mean, if someone's got something and people like it, and it seems like, yeah, this is good, and there's potential, show people the kinds of results. Yeah,
I think what we have now, and this is going to segue a lot more with what you do, is there's a lot of, our target market are 35 to 65-year-old business owners. Typically, they're first-time entrepreneurs. They built probably at least $1 million a year business, and they're typically Midwest conservative, and they're not super tech savvy. Like historically, they've just shied away from it.
Right.
Maybe in the 45 and younger, us that are in the 35 to 45-year-old range, we're pretty familiar. We all grew up with it. You and I grew up with it, but there's still a big chunk of people that aren't familiar with it. So to be able to enter into a conversation with a company that hasn't entered in the digital game at all and be able to make 100x or 2x or whatever it is, doable all day long. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that, because I know exactly what you're saying. They haven't even, that's like, welcome to the internet.
Right. Right.
You mean you can sell to the world? Like, that's got to be pretty good. So you're saying that situation for you is like all day.
Yeah. Those are the target markets, because they don't want to learn it all. They just want to go, okay, where do I put the money? Into the vending machine. And we say, right. Okay, we'll take the vending machine and let's go, So now with branding, the conversation about ROI becomes different, obviously, because there's some nuances in terms of how you establish KPIs of measurement, key performance indicators. So when we build a logo, right, we'll charge a client, $2,500 to build a logo. How do I prove a KPI, right? Now
I gotta get in your business. I gotta get in your business.
Well, I think Nike just paid, not Nike, Pepsi, when they redid theirs, paid Chase Bank, over $1 million. Yeah, Sergey Haviv. And I mean, he killed it, but how do you establish an ROI on a logo, right?
Well, that's my point.
Right.
That's what you can't.
Yeah. So there are different tools of measurements. Some of that's understanding, like, what's the potential for loss here if we get this wrong? Could you imagine getting a Chase Bank logo wrong and it doesn't look good on letterheads after they print it?
And I guess this is where we would differ. I would say you would never know.
Yeah. I would say when it comes to branding, you don't necessarily know. But it's the wrong measurement. I would say you don't measure brand building with like clear ROIs in terms of return on your investment. It's a different.
I would say that those are vanity jobs, and trust me, I love vanity jobs. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong. Look, if someone calls you and says, "I want to put a mural on the side of my building," that's a vanity job, and there's no ROI.
Right.
And then you say, "My time to do that," because look, I don't think someone should pay $2,500 for a logo. Now, if someone said, "Darren, we'll give you $2,500 to design a logo for us," okay, fine. Like,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And for me, I've seen clients that pay $5 for logos, $500 for logos.
And it still takes time. If you want me to think about it, if you want me to think and get super deep on your logo,
Yep.
Yes, it's going to cost you. I totally believe that. And if people have that money, there's just something about, as a small business owner, as soon as someone says $2,500 for a logo, I'm thinking, man, I want to do a lot of other things with that $2,500.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's right. But like I said, I love vanity projects.
And here's where I'll typically start with, like Small Business Bureau says, like conservatively, you should be spending 6 to 8% of your annual income on sales. Now that's conservative. I usually, for easy math, will say
on sales or on marketing?
On marketing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so from there, I'll usually just go 10% is an easy number. It's a little bit more heavy, but some, if it's more competitive, like lawyers or used car dealers, they should be looking at more than 10%. The point is, it gives me a metric when I look at their annual sales to go, okay, they're a $500,000 a year company. Let's say they have $50,000 to spend on marketing. And $2,500 for a logo, when it's going to go on your trucks, your hats, your shirts, that thing needs to be right. And then once it's right, it's done.
I would roll that in though. I mean, I agree. I would just roll that in. I just don't like the line item.
Yeah.
I would say reason why I don't like people paying money for logos is because it's never in the full package. They get some designer.
I agree.
Right? So if it's in the full package, it's a line item. Great.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see that line item. I don't want to see what your guy's going to do in an hour and make it bang it, right? If it comes out great. But you bring that up, that 10% rule. $500,000 company spending $50,000 a year on marketing. So that's what someone says. Let's do 10%. I look at that and I go, that just seems like, and I've had people say it to me, that's an absurdly low number. I mean, it's like for the single most important thing.
Right.
And so I like to flip it a little bit and say, this is much more R&D than it is marketing, right?
Completely agree. Yep.
You have to think about this as R&D. I mean, here's the thing. I see multi-million-dollar companies hiring people all day long at $38,000 a year.
Right. Yep.
Which means it costs them $90,000.
Right. And they're not typically
$90,000. It costs them $90,000 for that $38,000 a year person. We'll just see if she works out.
And 9 times out of 10, they don't produce any revenue.
Produce zero revenue, and you're telling me 10% of the company is what should go to marketing? That's insanity.
I agree. I'm entering in the conversation saying you're not even spending 10%. Because typically when I come in, there isn't a marketing budget. They haven't even they've been working on referrals for a decade, and they've grown pretty successfully. But now it's time to enter into the fray some of the other stuff. So when I say 50,000, it's laughable starting spot. I'm looking at it going, really, we're here? You know?
I'll give you a great example. I won't say the name of the company, but I had a company reach out to me. This is a legitimate billion-dollar company. Legitimate billion. And they came to me and said, hey, we have an issue because if one particular thing were to go wrong in the public with something we have, it could destroy our company. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If the narrative goes wrong, so they said, so we want to do a campaign to make sure that this narrative doesn't go wrong. I said, wow, okay, great. So we've got $25,000. I said, I think you know where I'm going with this. So let me get this straight. $1 billion company.
Yeah.
You have an initiative because if something goes wrong, company could really take a hit. Let's say a 20% hit would be huge on $1 billion. And someone said, let's spend $25,000 on a campaign. I said, call me when you think you've got a real problem.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Because this is $1 million project.
Right.
If you're telling me, because here's the thing, don't you dare put that pressure on me for your $1 billion company with a $25,000 budget to save your company.
Right.
Those are the kind of things that creative agencies, marketing agencies are dealing with all day long. And what I'm saying is, you better speak up now and say, no. The number one job for creative agencies right now and content creators and producers is to bring people into reality. And that's why I'm doing my podcast, doing my marketing, doing my brand, doing everything I'm doing, is because I can't get enough time in a room. But if someone can get hooked on listening to what I say, process a few things and go, wait a minute, instead of doing that one person hire for 38, that equals 90 in the course of a year. There's also HR issues. They could sue me. There's lots of stuff. People might not like them when they come into the office. What if I put that 90 that we spend all year long over into R&D, marketing, branding, research, let's put it there. I'm trying to convince people that that's a better way to spend your money.
Yeah.
And so people should be giving you $100,000 a year to come in and actually produce. Where you actually tell people how you can make the money. I don't even tell people that. You actually tell people that you can make them money. Like, that's amazing. Like, I love that. I'm recommending you. Like me, I don't even say that. I just say, look, if your company has potential to grow, I'll find it. Now, if that leads to sales, that leads to more money, if that leads, I don't know. Because ultimately, I don't know your business. But if you think there's potential for your company to grow, then I know what I do will do that. I can pour gas on whatever little fire you've got going for who you are. But I can't make you something that you're not. I can only make you more of who you are.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And to that point, I mean, a lot of times when we have companies coming to us to do their marketing, it's like the Hail Mary pass at the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, and someone already blew their budget.
Absolutely. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, last year we spent $1 million, but we really got burned. So we've got 50,000 this year. Like, I'm always like, how do I get that job? How do I get the job that blows everybody's money?
Yeah.
It
well,
doesn't,
there are creative agencies that's all they do.
Well, I mean, I had a client that literally spent 1.5 New York ad agency on a campaign, and I saw what it was. I said, can you give me the data they sent you? Looked at it, and literally they said, we think we can do more, but we've only got $100,000 left. And it's just like, wow, and so this is, there was a great moment. Gary Vaynerchuk was interviewing the creator of Shopify.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, forget Gary Vee on positive affirmations, blah, blah, blah. Find any audio where he's talking with real business owners, doing his deep dives.
Yeah, those are good. There's some gold.
It's worth it. It's worth every minute of those 3 hours. It's so punk rock. You gotta turn the volume up when the other people are talking, turn Gary down. Like, it takes a little bit of work. It is an education.
Yeah,
but he's interviewing the creator of Shopify. And he tells the owner of the creator of Shopify, that they just lost a gig because in their proposal, they said to use Shopify to run a bunch of commerce stuff. But the line item for Shopify was like a couple $1,000. And they said, industry standard for us is like a couple $100,000. Therefore, you're not industry standard. And he said, and we didn't get the job. We lost it. And I got to tell you, and the owner of Shopify, creator, I think he's German.
Yeah.
And it was just this great German tone. And he just sort of, you could hear him pondering it. And he says to Gary, something to the extent of, yeah, well, that kind of thinking is going to take care of itself soon enough.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, like, I understand, but those people are going to be out of a job soon enough.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this almost scary, like, and I think that's what we have to have. We have to not be thinking about how do we appease everybody who thinks they know how to do marketing. So they hire a marketing company. They think they know how to do branding. So they hire a branding company to tell us what to do. We have to start communicating that we're the doctors. There's multiple doctors on what you want to do, and maybe you need an herbalist, maybe you need a nutritionist, maybe you need a cardiologist. I get it. But if you come to us, let us do what we do.
Let us
that's what I'm fighting for.
Prescribed. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I think, I've often used the illustration with my kids after I come back from a meeting with a big company. The bigger the company is, it feels like it's a dinosaur kind of waddling through the forest,
Right.
And it just becomes a lot more difficult to turn heads. And you'll sit down in a meeting with people that are ready to waste money and wonder, why am I here? Because I can't waste your money like that.
And by the way, that's what is so crazy. And that's why I decided I had to really build and establish my own brand, because nobody was listening to me.
Right.
And why should they?
Right.
I'm a music video director. I remember sitting in a meeting somewhere and someone looked at me, and I never really talked about it much. But it was one of the pieces that launched me about 2 years ago. We're talking marketing, branding, all that. And a guy looked at me in a meeting and he said, with all due respect, Darren, what would you know about marketing? You're a music video director. And I was like, well, he's got a good point. Meaning, I hadn't done anything to establish myself as someone that people should listen to. I'd done a horrible job at marketing myself, advertising, branding. I had failed me. And so when I started and I said, fire your marketing department, it's because I fired me.
Yeah.
I was running my business for 30 years and I realized I sucked at it. I had to fire myself, because what was I not doing? I wasn't establishing what I've done. I wasn't establishing that we would be on the set of a music video, but I'd also be the guy in between takes, taking photos, doing photography. I'm also a photographer. I'm pretty good at it. Designing, getting the right angles, all of that. Okay, boom. And that becoming the cover of, if you open up a Shinedown Threat to Survival, that's my photo. The band photo is my photo in between. Boom. Okay, well, I'm not communicating that I also do CD design. I'm not also communicating that the angle I chose was because I love comic books. I do low angles. I'm a comic book fanatic. I understand art, inking, penciling, coloring, all that. I wasn't communicating. Of course no one thinks I'm anyone to listen to. So I realized I had to start branding, building my reputation, what I've done, who trusts me. Because at the end of the day, I had to learn, what's the rhetoric going to be? Not, hey, look at me, I'm with Kid Rock. Like, no. I need to establish that in that photo that somebody of Kid Rock's magnitude trusts me.
Yeah.
So if this is a wild man, but he trusts me, okay, that's what I'm trying to build. Like that. And I at that moment, I was like, I've done a horrible job. And that's why that's why I'm here talking to you. And I've now met you. And what's funny too is we've talked on social media. Yeah. But I don't think so I was shocked when the first thing you said was collision.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I saw grafted in. If you know, you know. When I see grafted in, like everyone's got code. Everyone's got code. And I was like, grafted in. It's only two people going to use that term. But we built a relationship, even not on that.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's icing on the cake. And as soon as you said collision, we had shorthand.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had shorthand.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized I had to do. And I'm hoping guys like you can take what I'm kind of talking about, because what I'm talking about is rough. There are actually more ingredients. I want to be clear. I'm not the guy to make your cake.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely the guy that can bring in a little Himalayan salt. But and then guys like you go, you know what? If we can take a little bit of Doane and infuse that over here,
right.
That's all I'm trying to do. And at the same time, be an advocate for people like you and say, look, you can't tell your clients to shut up and just listen. But I can tell the whole world, you should just shut up and listen to Gary.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, I've repurposed the content. I moved it over to Grafted In because I was too divided up in terms of what I wanted to market. So, but if you were to go back to when this podcast like relaunched, it happened because of you. I mean, you really like, you know, going back to the first episode on your podcast where you talked about stop being precious.
Yeah.
And it just cut me to the heart. I'm like, man, I'm at a season of life. I'm now 41 years old where I've been in the marketing world for almost 20 years. Wow. That it's time to like start talking about it.
Right. See, and look, that's what I mean. And by the way, I should know that. Like now I'm going to just kick you a little bit here. I should know that. I should see posts that are not douchebaggery. They're not bragging, but they're thoughtful comments that wrap up who you are. You say, you know, in the last 20 years of being in marketing, one of the things I've learned, and I go, wait, 20 years? Yeah. See, the punchline doesn't matter, but we have to show our qualifications.
Right.
And we have to find ways to do it that, again, it doesn't seem like, oh, I'm boasting. Me with Kid Rock is not, dude, I hang with rock stars. No, it's a thoughtful comment that when Bobby calls, he knows I'll be where he needs me to be.
Right.
Like that's okay. Wow, that's kind of like, so when you say 20 years, I go, wow, that's really, really cool. Because again, I love what guys like you do, but I want to help bring a little bit of an edge because I believe that I hate seeing people not be able to be themselves. I don't know why. That just drives me nuts. I'd rather someone be like, if I'm a full-on conservative and you're a full-on liberal, let's just start.
Right.
Let's just get it out right now and be making fun of each other for the rest of our relationship.
Right.
Let's not hide under.
Yeah. And for me, why I need that is because my mindset goes, I don't care who you are. What I care is that this ad in this magazine did what I said it would do. Right. And I don't even care if they know who you are as a company. All I care is that when you put that ad in and you paid $5,000 for that full page ad, you got $15,000 back. Let's move on to the next magazine.
Right. Yeah, see, and that's great.
But I want the spin of personality, the spin of individuality of these companies that's going to become increasingly more important to infuse in with that. But I look at it as the minor note to getting the sale. Like I want to build brand building on the back of increased sales rather than trying to build. Brand. Right. Exactly.
That's your brand. Yeah. I hired Gary. We make money. I hired that is your, like, that's, if that's what you do, then that's what you need to establish. Now that's tough. And I got to tell you, as someone that does branding, like you do branding, that's a tough brand.
Yeah.
And
it's not as tough as you think, though. It's not as tough as you think when it's more metric driven.
Well, because you got results, right? But I just think to get, and I'm learning from you. If you're saying it's not that hard, then that's great, because I would think in this day and age, well, you already qualified it. You identified who your base is, and that's a great base. Yeah. Right? Because they're looking for that.
Yeah, and I'll give you a clear example of how this is done, just to like help wrap your mind around it. When we launch a PPC campaign, somebody wants to run Google Ads, I want to create a landing page that's just for those ads. That I know when a conversion happens.
Explain PPC for those who don't know.
Yeah. So when you go to Google, if you're going to type in like, I need engine work on my car or whatever, car repair, whatever, you're going to see organic and you're going to see ads. Organic converts higher, organic gets more traffic, but ads still gets traffic. And so when you click on an ad, when you land on what they call SERP, the search engine result page, you're going to see like Joe's repair shop and the word ad next to it. What I do is I want to create specifically for that vending machine, this is your PPC funds, I want to create a landing page that the only way to get to that landing page in the world is through that ad. So when I know when a click goes onto that landing page, they pick up the phone, I can track the phone number now, I can clack the phone, I can, record the form submission. Now this requires transparency from the business owners because a lot of times sales happen off-site. That's the bigger challenge, but it's important and imperative for them if they want to grow to go, listen, there's 100 ways for us to market your company. If you can't let me know what this is generating in sales, we're gonna end up being stagnant after the first I call them profit accelerator. Once we get there, we're done because I don't know. But I need to know from you at the end of the month what your sales were and what were the names associated with those sales so that I can look in the form submissions and the phone numbers that came from that ad and go, oh, that dollar amount came from this. So you spent X, you got Y. And so you just want to look at different diversified models to bring to the client to know, hey, this is your dollar amount. Now we can go, we have two choices, increase the dollar amount or add on another profit activator. Right?
Because they're already coming and you're saying, okay, wait, if they're already there and we sold them X, why not put Y there?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So so increase what you're spending to get people there to buy the one thing, or if they're consistently coming, add another product.
Add another channel of marketing, another way for them to come in.
What are your thoughts on Shopify?
I'm using it. I just actually started I've used it for clients. I created a Shopify account for clients and I am using Shopify as of last night for the first time for some of our products. So good timing.
So, because I'm getting really hot on this because I always try to think of myself, or at least I try to remember that me and you are still a metric. We're human beings that live in this world and we make transactions all day long.
Sure, yeah.
And I still don't think it's easy to buy stuff.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's a lot of money people could be getting from me if they already had access to my iTunes account.
Right.
And every time I'm on Apple TV and I get a new app or something or Disney stream, I don't have to put any more information in.
Yeah.
I just get to buy it, right? So it seems like, and this is all summer, all I'm doing is wrapping my head around Shopify and the concept of what we are now as consumers.
Sure.
And so I want to get your thoughts and why you're there. Because to me, I need as a consumer to be able to see something and buy it right away.
Right. Well,
what are you seeing in Shopify as far as apps, programs, what they're offering? How do you see Shopify or just technology like this? How is that going to maybe help consumers do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think e-commerce as a whole is just exploding, continues to explode. So people that are looking to buy products online through a myriad of different channels and vendors and people that they trust is increasing over time. So the hurdle that always has been there, assuming you have a quality product and assuming you have a way to get people to that store, has been third-party integration, right? So like if I want to grow the complexity of the store, the offerings, the functionality, you would be stuck in, you really only had one choice, two, custom built, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, or WordPress. And WordPress was a good solution, but there are all types of code problems that come with WordPress. So Shopify is really trying to answer the question of simplicity and going like,
Right.
how can we simplify this process, both for the end user and the person that's running the show? And I think they're doing that well. And I think that's going to just continue to just skyrocket over time.
But why? What's I know you're gonna be much better at this than me. What problem is being solved?
So I would say ease of use behind the scenes from the metrics perspective, the way that they automatically integrate things like abandoned cart features. So if like somebody puts something in a cart, you press a button and say, hey, remind that person in one day that they left something in their cart and they didn't buy it. That's one example where before you have to like buy another tool in WordPress, upload the plugin, install it, set it up. And then they have just metrics all over the place, data points that you can look at, export on a touch of a button that just comes with it. Before you'd have to learn, how do I integrate Google Analytics, Google Data Studios, Google My Business, and a host of other, Google Search Console to understand the metrics that are happening on my website. And they just answer that right when you log into the dashboard. It's all right there, including like lifetime value, how much each customer is spending, and just things from the end user's perspective that take somebody that's not very familiar on the tech side and go, they can get it in a day or two. And then on the end user's side of things, there's not a huge, there are things that you can do there that you could do with other platforms, but it's cleaner for the most part. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's exciting. I mean, again, this is where I start to get really excited, because I think the future of creative agencies is also what we're doing right here. We're always thinking R&D. So we're always thinking, what can we bring to our clients, right? The challenge to myself that I've been pushing myself really hard on is I'm going to make sure that there's nothing I'm asking my clients to do that I'm not already doing or spending on myself.
Right.
So if I say, I think you should have a Shopify account where you can send exotic meats to certain clients branded with your logo on it. And they say, I want to make sure I've done it first. My personal goal here is I will never, ever, ever ask someone to do anything that I haven't spent my own money doing.
Now, understanding one caveat to that, your client's customer base may not be on the same platforms you are on. So the premise being that if I'm going to ask my customer to, let's say, run a TV ad, I'm a B2B. TV ads are a big waste of money because it's a gunshot kind of thing. Now, not to say that there isn't potential there, or if I have control on where the ad is displayed or the TV is displayed.
I'm with you. If people got all the money in the world, have at it.
Yeah. So on the R&D side, when I'm building the sales perspective or the marketing side of things, there's going to be things that I'm going to try with them that are based on me identifying where their target market is making buying decisions that may not be where I've gone before. So this is where they're going to have to spend some R&D, because I don't know how this is going to perform. We're going to turn on this profit accelerator. I don't know if there's going to be a return on this, but I do know I've seen your target market congregate here on this channel. Let's see if it works.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. That's
so they got to be willing to go. They have to be willing.
They got to be willing to trust you, and they got to be willing to go. Where my response would be like, I'm just not. If I haven't been there, I'm not going there. I'm more than happy to introduce you to somebody.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you've got some dream client that's like, no, Gary, we love you. We want to grow with you and build with you. Help us spend $1 million on TV. I mean, that's pretty awesome. But
that is awesome.
They say they got $1 million. I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to be like, but hold on. I think we could spend that money differently.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but if they say no, and that's why I'm always trying to find out, is this vanity?
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to spend vanity dollars, but don't put it in the ROI category.
Yeah.
If it's vanity, let's have a blast. Let's throw parties and let's do all that stuff. Yes.
Yep.
I just always want to make sure that they don't move the goalposts on us.
Right.
Like, we spent $1 million on TV, Gary. Where's the ROI? And you're like, I told you where people are congregating.
Right.
But it turns out those people who are congregating there, that might be vanity.
Right.
Because we don't have their metrics.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
So it's a tough call. And that's again, I'm constantly trying just to, if I don't understand it, I just, I'd rather be upfront as quickly as possible. Because I think you know this too, which is, especially when COVID hit, I had some clients that were like, hey, we're bleeding. You're going to have to bleed with us.
Yeah.
And had budgets cut.
Yep.
But no one, well, one did, but some cut and said, but we kind of still need the same amount of work you've been doing. And so my first response was, I'm in, let's go. Okay, let's hustle. Like, let's go. But what I found happened was, because I had to go get more work,
right,
still make up for everything and cover our nut and what we have over here. Yeah. I found mentally that I wasn't all in. It was very hard to be all in when you've been cut.
Yeah. And
you have to go get other work that you have to be all in on.
Yeah. And
so I learned through, all the pandemic and still learning that, and I'm finding ways to communicate this with my clients now, is if I'm not mentally all in, I'm not valuable to a client.
Yeah.
So if someone says, well, this, we don't need the full Darren Doane. We just, that's all I am. I was going to say, I think if you're like me, I kind of go to bed thinking about how my clients, I'm always thinking when I'm mowing the lawn, I'm thinking about,
Yep.
How can I grow this? Who can I introduce them to? Maybe there's a collaboration, but when someone says, pull the reins back.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah. Well, in fact, what you want to look for are the ones that are actually doing the opposite. When things are tough and everybody backs out from the market, your dollar goes 5 times further than before. And the people that are going to rise to the top are going to be the ones that double down right now. They see the window of opportunity that they will never, ever have again in their lifetime to penetrate the market in ways that they could never afford in their wildest dreams. And
I think that also revealed for me who's really in and who's not. Because I thought I was building a lot of okay, we like Doane, we know his stuff, we're all in.
Yep.
And my fear was always, and it still is, but it got realized, usually what people are paying you is what they can afford to lose.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want that. It's got to be meaningful. Like you were saying, there's got to be results on some level. And I'm in a different category because I'm not sales. I would refer someone like you in regards to sales. I'm trying to build what I have here based on, but that one phone call might come in. Like I've literally had clients call me and say, hey, we had someone see our LinkedIn post, called us this morning, said, can we have a meeting tomorrow? We're going to fly out and see you.
Yeah.
I'm looking for those things because honestly, I believe guys who have your expertise are really, really good at making sure that, like we talked about theology, if you got to know what the borders are.
Yeah.
Before you jump into heresy, okay, we can argue and debate within here, but we got to set some borders up. I am really, I'm the skinny branches that kind of that go out a little bit. It's not heresy, but I want to play in the skinny branches and say,
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. I'm trying to quadruple down in an R&D way into personal connections. And so far, it's been working with my clients. I always have to remind them that this is, every other month, this isn't about ROI. It's not about ROI. I tell potential new clients, carve out money that doesn't have to have an ROI.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start playing in personality because I really I like you more now that I'm seeing you do a podcast.
Same here.
I like you more now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what this does.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I trust you more. So now when you give me what I think is a boring understanding of the triangle,
Sure. Yep. Yep.
I trust you more now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm stealing that because on that podcast, I love that. And what I never thought about, you got my brain going, was I listened to your podcast, but there was an image.
Yeah.
I never thought about an image that could be the source, the focused source of a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's
was
funny
really
how one image can convey. Yeah.
So you're talking for 10 minutes, but I'm looking at that image the whole time, and I thought, there's something here, and it really got me going. So, I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But then putting your face to it, seeing you, you know, you've got pizza boxes in the back. You obviously have a pizza side business in the back there with all those boxes. I'm joking, but I love the boxes. I don't know what's going on back there.
I tried to convince my wife recently that we need to start a pizzeria, but
I mean, no, that's the vibe I'm getting.
yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, much like I'm trying to get people to get to know me so that the crazy doesn't seem so crazy. What I love about what you're doing, and when I put the face to who you are, is I see what kind of real dude you are. And now when you take me to a place that I don't want to be, which is kind of thoughtful and safe and proven.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, as long as you're taking me there, because you're not sitting here in a tie, all stuffy.
Yeah.
You see, so much like I want people to get to know me so I can take them to the wild side.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I like is a guy like you can take me to the smart, let's be predictable. Let's get some numbers there. Let's make sure if ROI does matter, let's prove it.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about this personal connection. Whatever this is what I want to quadruple down on.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great at it, and I think you need to keep telling us to stop hiding in the shadows.
Well, I mean, I want to see more of you. I mean, it's because there's a lot of things I like about what you are, doing, but obviously I want to see more.
Yeah.
I want to see more of it. I want to see more of your teams. I love your website. I was looking at your website again today, and I hate websites. And
well, what's funny about that, it reminded me of a comment you said about, when your customers are trying to gauge the ROI. When we do a website redesign, I have a singular ROI for the most part. Is I'll say it's twofold. One is, what is a home run when we build this? And what's a strikeout? Let's pre-establish that, because when I go to take this to the design and we showcase this, you pre-established what the home run was. And we did that, and that way they can't be bringing in. Well, I was hoping it would increase conversions. Well, you only have 2 visitors a month. A redesign isn't going to make more people show up. That's marketing.
And that is, I mean, I love hearing that, because again, a lot of these categories that we started off talking about today, a lot of these categories are very fluid, and people think that they just go from one to the next, and you can't.
No.
You
they
can't
dance.
People.
They dance.
Get 2 people that come to your website, and so. But I'm even. That's what I love. I'm rethinking all of this, because, I mean, I'm never on websites anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
I am, but maybe that's because of my.
It could be, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know for our clients, people are making buying decisions on their websites as well, but yeah.
I mean, shopping. I mean, I get shopping, I get it, but I think, and so at this point in time, to me, this is the old covenant, new covenant. It's on. We're right in the middle. Something's coming, and we're still trying to appease the old sacrificial system. We know a lot of grace is coming, but man, everybody kind of wants both.
Yeah.
And it's a weird time. And so all I can do from an honesty standpoint is tell people I'm preparing for the grace. Maybe we're not there yet, but what I want to do is say, I think the investment in me, and by the way, it's good to tell people some investments don't work. I'm a small business owner. I lose money all the time.
Right.
You're not going to get any sympathy and sort of distinct sympathy if you lose money on me. Like if you're not prepared to lose money,
right.
You know, then you should go with the Never Lose You Money agency.
Right. Which, you know what they're going to end up doing is just doing what they know works, and they're going to miss out on the golden goose, right? They're going to miss out on those things that have never been attempted that are perfectly right.
And I would say this, and I've said to people in meetings, if you already know what works, why am I here?
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Why am I here? Keep using It Always Works agency.
Right.
Like what? Like this isn't brain surgery. If you're already crushing it, if you already know who will go and make you $1 gazillion, why haven't you hired them? Why am I in the room? Is this a favor to somebody?
Right.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot, like, is it price? Was I the lowest bid? Tell me why I'm here.
Right. That's
these
a good
questions. We have to ask these questions, or else we end up in a very weird, no one knows what's going on world, and that makes people insecure. That makes us hate ourselves. That makes us have to be weekend warriors.
Yeah.
And it makes a world that's just really fake. And then when somebody shows up and they're authentic and they're real and they get the next gig and you're like, well, why was I trying to be all proper? Like, to me, this is hair metal, rock and roll culture. Nirvana's about to show up.
Yeah.
Nirvana's about to show up and destroy an entire industry. And what I'm saying is I think the whole industry is hair metal. And I just want to be at that Nirvana level. I want to be at that, you know, Smashing Pumpkins, Jane's Addiction. I want to be at that, like, it's about to all change. And it doesn't mean I have all the answers, but I think I'm a better bet than most people to be ready for what's coming. I learned that from your podcast, which was something I've been saying, but in the reverse, and your podcast really helped me understand. And I'm going to be pushing even more now, which is you better start defining what you're not.
Right. That's the first place where you can, it's too expensive to market to everyone. You can't market to everyone. So once you begin to define who you're not or who you're not serving, your marketing dollars are automatically go up because you're going to be able to reach very specifically to a target audience.
I mean, colleges, I think, you know, I'm about to do a whole thing on college education, the birth rate. You can't, I mean, just as a fact, the birth rate, you cannot sustain colleges in America in the next 10 years, most likely 6. There's not enough human beings in America to fill what's being filled as of today. So they're going to have a problem. What they're going to have to do, if you're smart, is explain what you're not what you are. You can get a business degree here, like everywhere else. You have to say what you're not, right? Yeah. So if we're not a conservative, and we believe that Black Lives Matter when you come to school here, like, and you can, okay, great. Then someone's going to go there because they love that. If someone's like, look, we're fully conservative and we're never going to do X, Y, or Z, boom. You got to lean into that because there's not enough people.
That's the only way.
So they're all going to have to pick 10 schools. Yep. And you don't define by what you are. I have eyes and a horse has eyes. That doesn't help us when we're doing classification. Yeah. Right? It's never about what you have in common. It never is what you have in common. Right. It is always, the distinction is always, but I don't have 4 legs. I don't have 4 legs. Therefore. Right. That's what we have to start pushing.
That's good. That's good. Well, we are now at our hour, and man, this has been Woo, we did it. This is
I think we have to fire. I think this felt good, man.
Man, this did feel good. We're gonna have to follow up on this in a little
Hey,
bit.
dude, anytime. Seriously, if you're like Darren, I'm calling you weekly. I don't care. This is what I love doing. I think we have an obligation to get to anybody to communicate anywhere with a 2-person audience, a 2,000-person audience. If you are all in, like the bands I've learned from, you show up anywhere and you play. And you know what? And if no one shows up when you play, you're that much better of a band because you played.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's good. All right, man. I'll see you in the podcast world. You pushed me over it.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, have a great rest of the week. Let's talk anytime, brother.
Yeah, you got it. You take care.
God bless, man. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.